Hello, hypothetical viewers, and welcome back to Shining Force Final Conflict. We are hanging out in the desert, about to confront Mishaela. I actually have not looked up about this battle, other than that we're going to search this cactus to find the hidden character. I haven't looked anything else up, so I don't know what kind of traps. Maybe it seems like this might be a battle where there's going to be traps or something. I also have to say, this is definitely an obscure hidden character for Shining Force, because, like, this cactus doesn't look any different than any of the others, and we weren't given any clues that, like, oh, there might be somebody waiting for you or something. In some of the other games, at least the thing you had to search was sort of unusual looking, or there was, like, something about it, but this one, I don't know if you would just find that on your own. Also, the desert tiles seem like they might be rough terrain. Yes, check. At least the search option only appears when there is something to find, so at least that helps if you happen to move the character over this way. Sasuke, I'm assuming he's a ninja, based on his name being Sasuke. I am called Sasuke, although I'm still training. I am as strong as Hanzo, the one who defeated Dark Dragon. So this is a reference back to Shining Force 1 with secret character Hanzo, who we found in that game, and fought Dark Dragon. The ninja and the samurai characters, although they have different names, they've appeared in, like, I think almost, like, all of these Shining Force games as secret characters. Will you allow me to join your group? Yeah, of course. So I can join? Then it's decided. Sasuke the ninja has joined the force. Although, the interesting thing here, that was not the case in Shining Force 1. After the fight, you'll surely find me one step ahead, at headquarters. So we'll meet him after the fight. But yeah, the interesting thing here, which, it's nice that the cursor went straight to Rubron for his turn, he is a ninja. He was from a special class, Thief, which we only got one of. On some of our other character classes, we have multiples of, like with the birds and the cavalier, and the cavaliers is Shining Force, the centaurs. You know, they're paladins now. We have multiples of, not him, and he promoted to ninja, so we already have a ninja, and he's already at level 9. Whereas in Shining Force 1, he was the only character of, like, the ninja class who could use, he had, like, a special weapon only he could use, he had, like, unique spells, so it was like it was a little more like, oh, that's cool. And in Shining Force 2, we also have the ninja character we had, because the thief Slade, he could promote to ninja as well, but I don't think that game, you know, actually I don't really remember what that game's hidden characters were. They did exist, maybe one of them was a ninja and I just don't remember it, but, like, the uniqueness of the hidden character here is a bit less, because we've already got one. The samurai character, I think, who we'll meet a couple battles from now, will still be the only one in the game. But that's just a side thought. That it was a little more, like, surprising and cool in the first game, where we didn't have a character of that same character class, so it was like, whoa, cool, it's a non-wizard character who casts spells, but here it's like, oh yeah, I have one of those already. We want to make sure that someone will get down to on the right there to get the treasure chest. Maybe one of the birds, since they're not going to be bothered by the terrain. Maps for almost everything is difficult terrain, and so they go slowly. Although maybe they're not really that slow here. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be that this grass stuff is a difficult terrain. It does seem to have a higher land effect. We started, maybe it's like a patch of dense brush or something. Unclear. But maps with lots of difficult terrain just annoy me, because it's like, this means that the battle is going to be slower, and I'm very impatient. I want to be done. Get me to the next cutscene. Maybe Julia's going to Julia is very frustrating because she just does so little damage. I have to make sure, in some of the other Shining Forces, you don't go straight on to the next battle, you have the little cutscene, and then you go to the camp for when you're ready. But here, we just went straight into the battle, so I have to make sure, maybe for the next one, to actually, like, egress and check whether there's stuff we can buy. Because, you know, some of our characters really need new weapons. They're just not they're not keeping pace. Like, Kiddo is so much better than Julia. Why would they do that? Why would you give me a character who's just not good? Alas. I'm just gonna check. Yeah, it's right here, right? Yeah. So we'll just have the party mostly just keep going straight down. This game also has that weird thing where, like, because it's it's 2D, right? So nothing is three-dimensional. So even though it sort of feels like you should be able to walk behind this tile where the cursor is over, because the cactus, in theory, in a real-world three-dimensional setting, the cactus is pointing straight upwards. So yeah, you can't stand at the base of the tile, because the base of the cactus, because that's like taking up that tile's space, but the top part should be in the air. So it feels like we should be able to walk behind it, but we can't, because it's flat sprites, and I guess they couldn't be bothered to make it so you can be behind certain tiles. Maybe the Game Gear couldn't handle that, I have no idea. But, that always, like, confuses me, and I feel like in older games where you can't go behind trees, I keep expecting, like, to be able to, because in modern games you generally can, like, objects can have a back and a front. Even in, games that are two-dimensional, like, that specific tile lets you be behind it or whatever, so the graphic just appears on top of your character, but some older games don't allow that, and I always forget that. I'm like, oh right, and this is treated as a solid object that's lying down on the map, even though, in theory, it's standing upwards. I feel like this is so pointless because she does so little. A critical hit, 5 points of damage. A double attack, a critical hit and double attack, and she only managed to do a total of 9 points of damage. At least she leveled up. But she got no attack. She got agility but no attack. Oh, sandworms. Okay, now we're finding out about the trick. Experience the terror of the sandworms. Whoa, it's the Sarlac Pit. Well, let's dive right in and experience the terror. We'll have Cynthia attack it. We've seen enemies similar to this in other Shining Force games, kind of like weird worm enemies. I don't know what it means that it's in the middle of like what appears to be like a quicksandy sort of sinkhole-y thing. I don't know if that's just for graphical, like, aesthetics, or if that's actually going to have some mechanical effect where it gets sucked in or something. But let's see what happens when we kill it. So far, the terror is not very high for the sandworms. They do give good X, but I like that. I feel free to add more of them in the map in that case. Yeah, so they did nothing much happened with them so far. The terror of the sandworms may have been slightly overrated. They also said sandworms, so I'm assuming more of them will appear at some point, because there was only one. It was a singular sandworm, which was easily defeated and did nothing. The terror. Maybe the real terror here is that this animal clearly has some important role in this ecosystem and we're just wiping it out. So the real terror is the destruction of the environment. Maybe that's it. God, Julius, why is she so bad? It really bothers me. It's like, game, why would you give me a character who's just flat out worse than other characters? What is the purpose of that? She'll probably die here too. I'm not even gonna bother restarting to res her. Oh, she dodged. But if she does, it's like, you're not contributing anything. Maybe at some point I'll try to level grind you up a bit, but I have a lot of patience for grinding, but it's just really hard with characters that don't do any damage, because you have to try and, like, carefully weaken them down to a point where you can actually kill them. And it takes ages, and it's just, like, she could only do 4 damage. That was the one point at which she'd actually be able to kill that guy, because you could do just barely enough damage. So it's just like, oh, it's such a pain, and you have to use all the other characters to weaken the target enemy. You can easily accidentally get a critical or something like that and kill them, and then you have to start over. And the enemy is still attacking and doing damage while you're doing that, so like trying to grind really weak characters is just a really frustrating experience that just does not... If I'm grinding them to promote them or something, then it's like there's a reward at the end, but if they're just bad characters, then it's like there's not. Like, look at this. 35 attack? That's terrible. Like, that's just so terrible. Yeah, here's Sonette. Sonette is level 1, so she's also pretty weak. And the Steel Arrow, I think, might not be an upgraded weapon. We haven't gotten a new one in ages. And she already has 42 attacks, so she's already better than that. Yeah, her defense is crap, but she's not a frontline attacker. Then for characters like, our Paladins and stuff, they're much better. They're so much better. And, like, obviously, Kiddo, he's, like, 7 levels above her, but his attack is, like, double hers. And he has better in both of his other stats. So I'm like, this character is just absurdly bad. And for what reason? It's not even like, oh, since they can fly, they have to be, they have better mobility, so they're weaker elsewhere, because we also have Kiddo in the same character class, and he's straight up better. It just annoys me. We'll heal her up. I guess it's X for Knuckles anyway. I'm like not even concerned about leveling him that much because he's already so much higher level than everyone else that it's like, he can, when he gets X, it's fine. I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, I'll probably send Kiddo to get the chest just because like, it'll be easier. He can fly right over the cliffs and stuff. So, the big trap in the map, I really, there's gotta be another sandworm when we move further down, right? Like, there'll be one here somewhere. Because otherwise the big, like, oh, what were they building? The mystery, oh, it's gonna be a trick. It's like, that was it. There was even the cutscene being like, you're gonna experience the terror of the sandworms, and then it was nothing. There's gotta be more of them. I'm assuming there has to be more to it. She can keep attacking this gargoyle. Why are you so bad? Why? I took the trouble to level you all the way up to level 20 and then promote. And you're still so friggin' awful. Does it list their X? Ah, there it is, yes. She's not even close to leveling up yet. Ben can just finish this gargoyle up. Otherwise, it'll take her 4 turns to kill this thing. And in that time, it could probably kill her. Because she doesn't have good defense either. My rage is so high. Okay, next turn he'll be able to grab that chest. The rest of our forces can just gradually continue walking. Sure, let's have Paige jump in and start attacking the Master Mage. Excellent. His armor looks like so, like, clunky and blobby. How does he manage to walk around in the desert in such heavy things? Maybe Sanek can get another level? She's lagging behind a bit. Excellent. Well, she got, you know, she can get any attack, but 3 defense is actually pretty nice on a character who has very, very low defense. Like, she's like our very fragile. I think, like, probably Howl's the only one who's even close in terms of just the sheer lack of defenses. And obviously, yeah, she's a ranged character, but it's actually not that easy to keep your ranged characters out of trouble in this game because, like, you know, you're not forming like a wall of your other characters to that much extent, so she occasionally gets into the melee range. But she does good damage at least. Like there's, you know, at least there's like it's not like she's unlike Julia. Like at least she has something she's good at to make up for the weakness. And she's a ranged character, so it's more acceptable. It's like, yeah, I can try to keep you behind my melees. And then we have Ruberon, who's a ranged character and an amazing character, so it's like, all the rest of you need to pull yourselves together. Running Pimento, I'll have to think about who to give that to. The Running Pimento, I believe, I'll check, because I do not always remember from game to game which item is which. I believe it just increases your agility. It's not the one that increases, I think like, but I have to check, because I'm like, is it the Quick Chicken that does that, or is it the Running Pimento? But there's one item that increases agility, and one item that increases your actual number of squares you can move. Which is much more important, and much more, there's only like one of it usually. It's a much bigger deal. And agility, I'll have to think about who needs that the most. Anytime in Shining Force specifically in particular, because of how like the main character has to survive always, and the fact that there's not caps on the stats unlike Fire Emblem, if I'm not totally sure who to give a stat item to, you can't go wrong with main character, because if he dies, you lose the level, so buffing him up a bit doesn't hurt. Let's see if we can do damage to this wizard. That should be a little more. Nope, you can do 3 damage to the wizard. It's fucking terrible. Why would a game put in a character that's just this bad? Why? Oh, there is another sandworm, okay. It eventually appeared. I'm actually gonna have Cynthia go heal up Julia. Since healing, in theory, is her primary job. She also, this game has a lot of weird character design decisions, honestly, because Cynthia, yeah, her MP is acceptable now, but she's a fucking level 22. Like, her MP is still low for her level. She barely has more than Howl, who's level 2. So, like, there's a lot of weird design decisions in this game where you're just like, why did they do it that way? Oh man, Riveron's so strong that he just one-shotted the sandworm. The terror of the sandworms is really not in evidence, but they do give a ton of X. I'm sad that we don't have more of them, to be honest, because, man, they help you level up. But yeah, terror is not how I would put that. There must be some sort of movement penalty here for the sand, because we are moving real slow. Minto, I'm gonna have you attack the golem, because I'm holding on hope that maybe Julia's turn will come up and she can actually get another kill and we can level her up a little. I'm still hoping that maybe someday she'll get good. Hope springs eternal. Sinette can also use more levels though. Well, but she can attack the golem too. Sinette can actually deal a bit of damage at least. Oh, the golem is really tanky. Maybe we're supposed to like fight them with magic. And the other one I just did was attacking with my overleveled characters, so I didn't even notice. The sacrifice I'm making to try and get Julia a level. Might have to use Aura on this. It's just, somehow there's like nothing more frustrating than when you want a character to actually be good and you put in a lot of time to like train them and improve their stats, and they're just never good. It's like one of those things where it's just sigh-inducing. Like, why must it be so? Okay, maybe we can get you to the level you'll actually get some attack. 50x, well, at least you're level 3. No! Still, HP and agility, still no attack. Why, game designers? Why? Are we born only to suffer? Is that the ultimate truth? At least some of the party is good. Like, main character is good. Ruberon is really good. You know, the two paladins, very pleased with them. Kiddo's good. So, it's only some of them that endlessly disappoint me. So Ben just smack this golem and finish him off. Maybe I should have saved him for someone else's lower level, but, you know, let's get a move on here. Carefully making our way down the map now that we know that the secret trick was that these useless sandworms occasionally appear. And I thought maybe the little area they're in would have some, I don't know, maybe it'll be rough terrain at least, but no, it does nothing. It looks cool, but it's purely aesthetic. Oh, well. What, you know, that it is what it is. But it's gonna be tough because at the bottom of the map here we have a big clump of enemies, so that could get tricky as we try to kind of attack them without getting completely overwhelmed by them and just dying. So at least that will be a little bit of a challenge. Cynthia is also running low on MP. She casts like 3 spells total. So like, yeah, she has more MP now, but it's still not good. Knuckles also does not have great MP, but at least in his case, he's clearly a hybrid character. He can both attack and heal, so he's sort of like not as good at it as a pure healer, whereas Cynthia is meant to be a pure healer. Also, side note, the Harpy Queen, really fluffy. Like, the feathers and hair and everything, it's just like super fluff. Very like from the 80s, you know, big hair. Very fashionable. Now we have healers healing. Enemy healers are like the biggest irritation because they're often, since their spells can have range, they're often positioned in spots where it's not that easy to reach them before the other enemies, and they'll keep healing up the other enemies. Like, look how fluffy the Harpy Queen is. Free pink too. Howl's been saving his MP all map. Why don't we kick things off with a freeze too? He also only has so much though. He can cast Blaze 3 times. That's it. Well, at least he did something. Shining Force has a very weird relationship with mages where like there's a part of the game where they're good, but they really struggle to stay competitive as the game goes on. They just, because they're limited by their MP, but their spells don't do appreciably more damage than just attacking, you know, because we have a lot of pretty strong melee characters. So the use case for them becomes more and more questionable. Howl is staying with the party though. He was there since like the first, you know, mission. He's our buddy. I like him. I like his dorky little nerd glasses. He's fun. And I do have a tendency to like keeping like the initial story characters all in the party because I'm like, you know, they're on this adventure with us. They have like their motive to go with us. You know, they're part of the plot. More so in Shining Force. In Fire Emblem, I'm more willing to switch it around. But you have a bigger party there in a lot of maps, where Shining Force sticks pretty strictly to its like 12 character format. So you have to really pick and choose. I do have detox on somebody. I should take a look at him. Ooh, will Sinette do bonus damage because it's a flying enemy? No, it's a critical hit, so it's hard to tell. We still don't really know. The mystery continues. Okay, we're making good progress here. Oh man, movement penalties. There's gotta be a movement penalty because we're going so much slower than usual. Oh, it's using Blast? Blast level 2 doesn't do a ton, that's fine. It's chip damage on everyone. It does mean that we're more vulnerable to Mishaela's magic because now our MP is lower, but it's not bad. Man, it's so tough with Hell because like these enemies aren't clustered up, which is when his spells are really good. But like if I save it all for the boss, he might not be able to get in position in time because of the rough terrain. At least he got a good level up where he got plenty of stats. Although for the wizard, attack and stuff is kind of not as useful because I don't really have them attack mostly. Their weapons don't give them a lot of bonus, so they can't really do a lot regardless. More agility would not hurt, and more defense obviously never hurts anyone. Because you do take a lot of hits in this game. Like dodging is pretty rare, and it takes a lot of attacks to actually kill enemies. So, you know, characters that have very low defense it's hard to keep them alive because they will often be exposed to attacks. You know, I'm gonna save her MP because it might come in more handy when we're kind of closer to the boss. So then attack this. We're attacking this tank with a sword, and we're winning. That's why I really love like the weird sci-fantasy fusion of like Shining Force, because it's not even like a sci-fantasy style story where like they're kind of integrated together. It's like a scientific, you know, sort of sci-fi style world, but people just also have magic. It's like you took like a classic swords and sorcery story, but then it just has random sci-fi stuff, and it's just kind of all together in this very goofy way, but really charming way, and I love that so much. We're like fighting, like some of our characters have like guns and some of them have swords, and we're fighting tanks with little sticks. So it's absurd and delightful. Where did Paige go? Oh, I'm not quite in range for... Oh good, detox. You know what, I rarely have the opportunity to even need it, so I might as well. And also the little message saying that he lost the HP annoys me. I'm like, arg, I don't want to have to read this extra text box. And it's nice for him to occasionally get the opportunity to use detox, so it'll actually be useful. Good work, Paige. We killed the tank with our little hatchet. I love it. And so, maybe we should... How much HP is this? It's got 16. Yeah, I'm gonna have her save her MP, because, like, it won't actually kill the tank. This is gonna get rough. Oh, dang. Freeze 3. Or Bolt 2. That's right, she doesn't have Freeze, she has Bolt. Her sprite kind of looks like a very tall Jawa from Star Wars. Yeah, this is big range. It's tough. Okay, well, I think we have enough for, like, one more aura, so... We can bust that out. Oh, and she recovers MP every turn. It's challenging. So basically she'll never run out of spells. She has so much MP to start with. Like, by the time she used it all, we'd all be dead. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get Howl in position to get to the bottom of the battle, so sure, he can attack here. It's the difficult terrain does make it tough, because it's hard for us to bring our full forces to bear. Julia is barely gonna do anything, but actually, let's have her start attacking the High Priest, because we need to kill the High Priest, or he'll heal. Like, Mishaela has so much HP. Having her get healed up repeatedly will waste all our efforts. Minda might die here, but oh well. Yeah, well, it couldn't be helped. She's the party member thing is swapping out, because I'm like, I feel like she doesn't really do a lot every single battle. It's rare for her to actually be that useful. We don't... Enough for an Aura 2. I guess this should get a lot of our ones who actually got damaged in. Oh, if only Cynthia had a little better MP. So many characters in this game, just like, you're like, if only they were slightly differently designed, they'd be better at their actual job. Well, she got one more. She doesn't get as much stats now. I'm pretty sure that once promoted characters get past level 20, it's not the literal level cap in that you can still keep getting levels, but I think you just stop really gaining very much in terms of stats. You're at the point you're at. So they get maybe a point here or there of stuff, but not very much. She could get that all healed up though by the priest. Ruberon gets great levels like every level. Okay, I'm actually gonna take Mishaela because it's possible that if we get one more turn from one of our other dudes, we could actually just finish her up here. It's all gonna depend on how the turn comes up. And if not, you know, oh yeah, we might do it. Okay, I think we're gonna do it. Go for a page. Yes! Oh, well, we actually mentioned this in 25 minutes, not bad. Excellent job. Great level up too, lots of attack and defense. More gold. Ooh, Mishaela. She was saying her own name? That's probably not gonna really be her though, right? At last, we defeated Mishaela. If that was really the final battle with her, I would have expected it to be a little more dramatic. Now all we have to do is find Master Max. So it's gonna turn out we didn't, right? It looks like the Devil Army rounded up the dwarves from their isolated village against their will in order to build these things. What things? Thank you so much, everyone. It's such a relief that we can now return home by ourselves. And then, it's gonna be Mishaela, right? Oh ho ho ho, you think you've defeated me, but think again. Yeah, I was right. It wasn't dramatic enough for a final confrontation. That voice. Didn't you think that was a bit too easy, Adam? It did seem a bit too easy. If that's the case, was the Mishaela we just defeated an imposter? It was probably one of her dolls, right? Oh ho ho, that was my other self, Mishaela doll. Ah, yes, I was correct. Did you have fun with my cute little doll? To be honest, the battle was a teeny bit boring. It was just okay. I don't know if I would say it was fun. You know, I would 3 out of 5, average. Thank you for letting me get on with Lord Dark Soul's revival meanwhile. Question mark, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Just that's like, ugh. So that's what it was, and that's your goal to revive Dark Soul. After Dark Dragon was defeated, we saw a shadow escape. This is also really interesting, and I probably said this in previous videos, but this game kind of functions as sort of a bridge between Shining Force 1 and 2, because Shining Force 2 is set in the same world, but a different continent, and very far in the future. Because we have like a few small references to like the previous continent here and there, but they're not really very connected at all. They're pretty different, and in particular, in the first Shining Force, the original one, we were fighting against the mysterious like Dark Soul, and then there's like a dragon that gets summoned at the end. It's like a whole thing, right? But Dark Soul is like the baddie who's summoning the dragon. There's no mention of like devils or anything like that. And then in Shining Force 2, we're fighting the Devil Army, led by Zeon, and the various devils. Mishaela was from Shining Force 1. She's one of the various villains that serves Dark Soul. And so what they went with in this game to kind of explain how the two are connected, Shining Force 2 already tried to do that a little, because when you get to like, it's like these like statues of elders in, I forget the name of the town, but it's the one where you meet Matula. It's where there was a talking duck, which I was very taken with when I played that game and have now retained, even though I don't remember the name of the town. I think it was maybe Tristan, it started with a T, I think. But one of them is like, sort of vaguely explains that Dark Soul was also a devil, and there was a conflict between the three, you know, the Dark Dragon, Dark Soul, and Zeon, and whatever, to sort of be like, yeah, sure, that's what it all was, and kind of retcon them to be part of the Devil Army to kind of make it all consistent. And this game is sort of bridging the two, and kind of bringing the Shining Force 1 cast, like Adam and Max, just a couple of them, and Mishaela is one of the villains, into the content of Shining Force 2, and sort of explaining the sort of how one game connected to the next. And part of this is he's saying when we defeated Dark Dragon, we saw a shadow escape, so that way it can be like, oh, the Devil Army really did escape, and they want to resurrect him, because there's like this conflict between the two worlds of devils. So this is sort of the semi-retcon explanation. And that's why we pursued you here. Our revival of Lord Dark Soul will be completed at Grand's Island. Come and stop me if you can. I don't know why you told us that, unless maybe us getting there is part of the plan, and secretly, so you're like tricking us, maybe. Either that or you're an idiot. Grand's Island was where the main character of the second game, who I think his canon name is Bowie, but that's where he was from, and where Grand Seal, which sealed away the devils, was made. So this might be a bit of an explanation of like how this all links together. Because you can see here that this is basically retconning Mishaela to be like one of the devils, and Dark Soul to also be one of the devils. And so like, oh, they were trying to revive him part of this plan. I think the retcon, like, in some ways, like, it's like, was it really needed? Were fans really like being like, oh, these two crazy fantasy games don't make sense as being part of the same series because of this? And it's like, is that really the main complaint they had? But B, it kind of works and kind of doesn't. It's a little awkward, but it's interesting that they tried. He'll be fully revived before long. Ho 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 ho. However, before that, please accept this token of my appreciation. Look out, Adam. Oh no, is the elder gonna die? Grandpa! Also, I have to say, I really think Adam, who is a robot who's like survived for thousands of years and stuff, would have been much more likely to survive a random bolt attack, because that was probably her bolt spell, than this elderly man. Like, Adam would be fine. He got hit by it before and we managed to repair him. The elder could have like a heart attack and die. I think Adam should really have tanked that. He would have been fine. Adam, is he safe? Cynthia? Yes, Grandpa. Grandpa, hold on. Can't we cast heal? Cynthia, you're actually out of MP, but Knuckles still had some. Elder. Oh ho ho, in a little while our plans will be complete. Isn't that wonderful? I'm going to enjoy defeating you the most. I wonder who that you refers to. Adam? Is it Adam? I guess they had previously, although they never met in the first game. She died before we met Adam. Or was defeated anyway. I guess this is retconning it that she didn't die. But that was prior to us finding all the robots and stuff. So they would never have met. Elder. I'm already dying. Adam, somehow you have to save this world. Elder, you must try to hold on. The dwarves are just there like, oh, this is really awkward. We have no idea who the hell these people are. Aiku said that the Devil Army's stronghold is in Ground Seal. I'm certain of it. I'm counting on you, Adam. Ben and Matt. He was mentioning Max, but he couldn't even finish his word. I really think Adam could have survived this, so this just seems like every character being an idiot. Elder, how could such a true and innocent man be dragged into something like this? It's because you're bad at your job, Adam. If you could have dodged or tanked that, he wouldn't have had to do that. It's your fault. Mishaela, I'll absolutely never forgive her for this. But are you going to join the party? Because if not, you're really doing nothing. You were in the party in the first game. I wouldn't say you were good, but at least you could do something. You might be better than Julia. The elder died before their very eyes. The unity of the Shining Force deepens as they hinder the plans of Mishaela and her devil army. That's a weird sentence. The unity of the Shining, like, what? It sounds like it was like some sort of like corporate focus group design text. Chapter 3, Ambition of the Devil Army, end. We are heading into the final chapter of the game, I believe. I think it is only 4 chapters. Where we'll make we're going to have this final sort of battle, chapter for the Devil King's Revival. This is going to be our big final battle to stop Mishaela and prevent the world from being destroyed by Dark Soul's return. The Shining Force tried to maintain high spirits while in the hometown of the rescued dwarves. The Devil's Revival is in nearby Ground Seal, which the Force are heading towards. So where did Ground Seal come from in the first place? Like, how did the Devils get sealed in there to begin with? Why is it called that? Like, this game doesn't seem to have explained that. After crossing this prairie, we'll reach the governmental city of Galam. The governmental city? What? Is it meant to be a city-state? Is that what's going on here and it's just awkwardly described? The only city on Grand's Island. Where did the people in that city come from? How did they get here? Galam is this place where eventually their king would get, in Shining Force 2, their king will get taken over by devils and attack us. And we'll meet Lemon the Immortal Vampire, who is the most baffling character ever. Then you escaped Magus and Aiku, now finally you're here. It's Lynx again. I must say I have a great respect for the Shining Force, but as I have just arrived, it's customary for me to make the first advance. Okay. You are? My name is Lynx, and I'm the hard-working commander of the Devil Army. How does Adam not know this? We've met Lynx before, and I could have sworn Adam was in the group when we did. I'm like almost certain. So how can he be like, you are? Like, we already know who you are. I hold no grudge against you. It is my job to fight well, and it's very important to me. Okay. Sometimes the text in this game feels like it was like, I don't like translated by an AI or something. Some of it just feels slightly awkward. Please show me your strength. And we're gonna save this battle for next time, but let's take a peek at the map anyway. We also managed to get through that last battle with only Minto dying, so we did pretty well. Oh, and it appears that they actually revived everyone. Usually maybe because we were between chapters. So this map is another one that will look familiar for if you have seen Shining Force 2. This little bridge that we're on right here, because actually it represents, the dwarf town is like in here, and in Shining Force 2, rather than a bridge, you have to use the dry stone to make like a little, like, dry up the water on this spot so we can get across. But I guess in the past it was a bridge, I don't know. And then Gran's is down here. And maybe more enemies will appear as we go through the map, like reinforcements. Because otherwise, we kind of just have this small little cluster. These enemies we've seen before, and here's Lynx, who has so much MP that it cannot be displayed, so it's more than 99, and the counter sword, which I'm gonna guess lets him do counterattacks. So that's gonna suck. His attack isn't absurdly high, but it's just gonna take a long time to kill him. Oh, well, with all these forests, there's a lot of difficult terrain, and there's mountains, so it's like we're gonna walk very slowly from one end of the screen to the other, but we will finally get to go toe-to-toe with Lynx, and hopefully defeat him after he's sort of taunted us the whole game. So, hypothetical viewers, we fought against Mishaela, but as we all probably pretty much suspected, it was actually just her doll that she was using to delay us. Meanwhile, she's rushed ahead to Ground Seal to try and revive Dark Soul, and we need to head there and stop her. But first, we'll have to get past Lynx, her loyal henchman. And maybe we'll swap out Minto and put in Sasuke so we can see what his deal is, the secret character. Until that'll be next time though. For now, thank you for watching, and this has been Shining Force Final Conflict.